Hello everyone, I'm Eoin Morgan, former ODI World Cup winning captain, and this is my Reddit AMA. You played 2 ODIs for England in 2009 as the designated wicketkeeper. What was the story behind that, and did you ever think about really pursuing wicketkeeping? Well, let's start with the second part of that question. No, I never pursued it because in my opinion, it is one of the hardest jobs in the game. Wicketkeeping and umpiring, I think, are just really difficult. And the reason behind keeping it was in the Champions Trophy in 2009. Matt Pryor, our wicketkeeper, was sick with glandular fever, and about 10 minutes before the team meeting, the phone rang in my hotel room and it was the captain, Andrew Strauss. He said, "Morgs, Matt Pryor has gone down and the options to wicketkeep are either me or you, so you are wicketkeeping today." So a little bit of a funny story. Actually really enjoyed it, even though it is a tough gig. Second one, how do the families, especially the partners of ex-cricketers, react to their spouse becoming full-time coaches of a national team post-retirement? Do you face some resistance from home about still working in the jobs where you're required to be away from your family? Yes is the answer, simply because the demands on coaches are exactly the same as cricketers in regards to spending time away from home. So a very difficult conversation for all the backroom staff to have with their families, but ultimately they all need to be aligned and on the same page about the commitment and the journey that they are taking on. So that's a good question because it's often overlooked at times. How do you bounce back from the 2015 World Cup disaster and manage to build such an incredible team for 2019? Good question, because for me, that has been the cornerstone of England white ball success for so long. And I say that because we were so bad. I think it was the worst ever performance in an ODI World Cup by an England team. And when you hit rock bottom, administrators and people in high places are willing to take big decisions. And for me, the biggest decision after that World Cup was Sir Andrew Strauss coming in as managing director of cricket, appointing Trevor Bayliss as coach and continuing with me as captain. I think a lot of other people wouldn't have kept me on, and that allowed me then to try and implement strategies and planning over the course of the next 4 years, targeting that World Cup at home in 2009. A lot of fun, but ultimately, unless those tough decisions weren't made, who knows what might have happened. What was going on in your mind in the Super Over in the finals in the World Cup in 2019? I actually was quite engaged during the Super Over because I didn't contribute when it came to the run chase. I didn't get any runs. So you sort of sit back and watch Stokes and Buttler put that partnership together and inch by inch get closer to that total of 241. And then when that last ball, Mark Wood being run out, when we knew it was going to be a Super Over, I almost felt as if we were back in the game because there were things to do and decisions to be made. So what was I thinking during it? Ultimately, do what you can to win. How much pressure did the due factor put on sides losing the toss in the T20 World Cup in 2021? Did you guys lay out a special plan in case you had to defend, or was it actually a pretty hopeless situation where winning by defending was near impossible? It's difficult to do because when there's such a dramatic trend that is unveiling before you in a tournament, you can't fight it. So if the decision at the toss falls on your lap and you are chasing and you do make the most of conditions, that's great. You still need to play well to win the game. Doesn't automatically mean that you get the victory. When it goes against you, you need to recognize what conditions and trends are in front of you and possibly set a larger total than you were anticipating being a good score. So that was something that we tried to work on and ultimately didn't make it to the final, but a huge learning. So if there's trends in there, engage with them, use them to your advantage, but ultimately don't complain about them. There's always a way around them. How did you transition from playing for Ireland to playing for England? I grew up in Ireland. My mum was born in England. My dad was born in Ireland. So in theory, I'm half English, half Irish. I played early in my career for Ireland. I made my debut when I was 16 for the national team. And then when I was 22, I put in some performances in county cricket and for Ireland that led to me being selected. But I had to qualify as a resident before I played. I spent a lot of winters, 4 consecutive, 210 days and nights in London in a small L flat, but it allowed me to work hard and stay focused on where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. What is the reason behind bending down so low with your batting stance before the ball was bowled? What sort of advantage did you get from it? So the advantage that I thought at the time that I got from it was that it allowed me to get all the power from a lower half of my body and exert it when trying to hit sixes. And at that stage in my career, that was an area that I was trying to get better at. So I was any type of tinkering with technique or mentality I would try and use. And certainly this technique that I used, when it went badly, it looked terrible, and when it went well, it was very, very effective. So that was the reason behind changing it. How far do you think this England team can go in this World Cup, and what are your thoughts on Jofra Archer's comeback into the squad? Joff is absolute box office, so his return to international cricket I am unbelievably excited about. He looks as fit as ever. He looks in good rhythm in certainly the one game that he has played. Even without Jofra Archer, England are still real strong contenders at this World Cup. With a fully fit Jofra Archer, they're probably second favourites in my eyes, behind India. I know you had a career of many highlights, but surely nothing could top that day. You stumped me in a Junior C Leinster League game in 1998. Jeez, that's a tough one. 1998, I can barely remember that. Junior C Leinster League game. I'm trying to think who I stumped. The tag is, oh yeah, 79. So he's not giving away his identity. I mean, at least you could give your identity away. Then I'm some chance of remembering. But for me, I don't remember it, I'm sorry. What was your favourite innings in your career? My guess would be the 148 against Afghanistan. For me, it's not. There are a couple of favourite innings. I would say my first ODI 100 and my first Test match 100 are 2 innings that, when you're coming through as a player trying to fulfil your lifelong dream of being an international cricketer, achieving 3 figures is quite a monumental boost in confidence. And for me, on both occasions, one was in Dhaka, the other was at Trent Bridge. Both occasions I came away from those games thinking I can perform at this level. So not against Afghanistan, unfortunately, but it was a great day in Old Trafford. In 2024, if you had to pick one bowler and one batsman from a different country to play for England, who would it be? That is a great question, because questions like this start arguments, good pub conversations. So the bowler that I would choose would be Jasprit Bumrah. I think he is an incredible talent across all formats. So I would have him in every format for England. And the batter, it's difficult because I wouldn't replace anybody. So if you take that on board, that they might come in but they might not get into the squad, I think I would go for Surya Kumar Yadav. Just simply sublime. He plays in the England mantra. He goes out every ball and tries to smack it for 6, and you always feel his presence at the crease, so he can be quite intimidating to play against. How do you keep yourself motivated during long tours? I like to play golf. I like to watch sport, horse racing, rugby, other games of cricket that are going on, and depending on where you're touring, if you can immerse yourself in the local culture, it's always a good thing, because it means you get out of the hotel for an afternoon and you get out of the routine of just waking up, training, playing, and then sleeping. So always good things to do. My golf handicap at the moment is 13.2, so not very good. I'm a social golfer. I enjoy golf for a drink and some lunch. Safely say if they took that out of golf, I probably wouldn't play. I reckon you were one of the best tactical captains in the world at one point, you and Finchy. Who do you rate as the best tactical captain today? Any format. Test match, I would say Ben Stokes, because of the bravery and the courage that he makes in each and every decision. And one of the big challenges as a captain is actually inspiring other players around you and ultimately making other players better. And Ben Stokes has done that with a lot of people around his group. He has made them a better team I'd say in T20 cricket, which I think is probably the most difficult to captain, because you're constantly having to think 2 or 3 balls or an over ahead of your opposition team and try and counter what they're trying to do. So in T20 cricket, I would say Jos Buttler and Kane Williamson are the 2 guys that stand out. Jos, who has already won a World Cup in his first year of captaincy back in 2022 in Australia. Kane is yet to win one. New Zealand always with a chance of winning a World Cup, given the quality of team that they are. But you would say Kane, being cool and calm and making good decisions under pressure, would put him on a par with Jos. Can you share some insights about your training routine? Well, as a commentator, there's very, very little. You play more and more golf, spend more time at home, but as a player, I suppose when I started playing international cricket back in 2009 with England to finishing in 2022, training has varied quite dramatically, and I would say towards the end of my career was more bespoke than it has been ever. I'm a guy that likes to get into the gym and lift some weights and not necessarily focus on any cardio work, as you can pick that up as you go along. But if you think about my role within a team, it was a middle order batter that liked to clear the ropes. So strength and power were essential in the roles that I would fulfill, and lifting weights and doing a lot of power exercises certainly helped that. How do you balance your personal life with the demands of international cricket? Yeah, good question, because when I started international cricket, it was very much your mum, dad, your brothers and sisters that you would speak to, and they would travel around a little bit when they were available. But sort of as you grow older and you get married and have kids, it becomes more difficult challenge to juggle, and not an easy one. I think it's part and parcel of playing international cricket and the rigours of being away for prolonged periods of time from your family and your home. So, I mean, you just need to treat everybody as part of the team, in particularly those partners that we see either raising kids for a long time on their own, or doing it with their mum and dad, and then coming away on tour with the team. So it is hugely challenging, but everybody has to be part of the team. How do you deal with criticism from fans and media? Yeah, good question, because I don't think you can hide away from it in this day and age. I think with social media and the exposure that it has, at some stage throughout your day, you will hear about some sort of criticism, if it's coming your way or the team's way. So how you manage that can often determine if you have an ability to perform on the field. So trying to compartmentalize difficult situations with the media or social media, and then drawing a line under it once you cross the rope and focus on trying to perform for your team, is something that I used to do. Didn't always get it right, but certainly the more I did it, the better I became at it. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? I'd probably say the best one, came from my dad as a young kid coming through, and it was always to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And even still to this day, I would say one of my strongest attributes as a character is the belief that I've shown throughout my playing career, and that I've taken into other walks of life as well. How do you feel playing for England against Ireland? Was there ever any mixed feelings? No mixed feelings at all. I really enjoyed it. When I played for England against Ireland, I played against a lot of my childhood friends, guys that I'd played cricket with for Ireland, guys that had come across and played county cricket. So I think that sort of makes you relax even more, and you're playing for bragging rights on the day against some of your great mates. So yes, a very serious game, but also at the same time, come the end of the game, you want to be the one that has the win under your belt. How much do you think actual team tactics and selection plays in results like the World Cup win as compared to the team bonding? A bit of a tricky question. Team tactics, I would say, are instrumental in the side that you're trying to select, because if you select a team and they're quite a reserve team and quite regimented, but all of a sudden your tactics want to be aggressive, there's going to be a bit of a mismatch between what you're trying to achieve and the tools that you have to achieve it. So it's very, very important that your strategy and tactics are aligned all the way down from selection to the plans that you want to fulfill on the day. So a very important part of a game of cricket. Who do you think are favourites in this World Cup, and any team you think will cause an upset? Favourites for me are India. They are so strong. I think they probably could have selected 2 squads and still been competitive with both. I'm excited to see Shivam Dube on the world stage. In the last couple of years, in a Chennai Super Kings shirt, batting in the middle order with the immense power that he has. And I think an extra string to his bow now is how he plays fast bowling. He has about 6 and 4 hitting options when he first comes in. So again, for different reasons, being a left-hander and watching a young, exciting player come through, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. But I have India as strong favourites, and decides to cause them upset. Hearing a lot about Nepal cricket. Watched a few of their games and highlights on YouTube, and I like what I see. There's great energy, there's a good vibe. So I think out in the West Indies, they might surprise a few teams. So looking forward to seeing them play. Who are your top 5 batsmen and bowlers? I'd have Jos Buttler, Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, Virat Kohli, Babar Azam as my top 5 batters. Top 5 bowlers: Jasprit Bumrah, Jofra Archer, Adil Rashid, Yuzvendra Chahal. Great to see him in the Indian squad. Pat Cummins, hell of an attack. Is there anything you would change about your career? I get asked this all the time, and in a different wording, people say, oh, do you have any regrets? And I can safely say I don't. I set out to play Test match cricket since I was a young child. I played Test match cricket. I scored 2 centuries, which I still can't believe. I pinch myself at times, and I won 2 World Cups, which I didn't even dream about as a kid. And I'm very, very proud of my career and what I've achieved, but ultimately my life has been built around playing professional cricket and the friends that I've made and the memories that I've made as well. So I've been very lucky over the years. How difficult is it for a team to play with a certain template for so long, especially if it's an aggressive approach in batting? The same thing we are now seeing with the England Test team. Back in 2015, where the shift from the dreadful World Cup to what you're seeing now in English white ball cricket, the transition was actually quite seamless. And for me in the England Test team at the moment, I think an important cog in that wheel is their captain, Ben Stokes, because everything that he embodies and everything he talks about is about being aggressive and positive and take the game to the opposition. And when that is questioned, either from the outside or within the changing room, it is vitally important for Ben Stokes or Brendan McCullum to back up exactly what they set out to do. So completely unwavering in whatever your approach might be, whether that is aggressive or positive cricket. When did you feel most under pressure in your career? Was there any point where you legitimately felt, whether at the time or in hindsight, that you had panicked a little? I mean, you're under pressure all the time, and how you manage that often contributes to how much you can give in the game, both with mental and physical energy. Because if you don't manage pressure, it affects how you sleep, how you train, how you think. Such vital components of performing at the highest level. And there were certainly stages throughout my career where I didn't manage things as well as I could have. If I probably highlight the biggest one, which was the T20 World Cup final in 2016, that final over that Ben Stokes bowled. That was a big learning for me, because as captain, I can't bowl the ball, but what I can do is create time for the person to rethink and reset and just compose himself and then try and execute. You can do that as a leader within a group, and I've watched the tape back a lot over the years, and I thought I was jogging, walking over towards Ben, but in reality I was running over, having a quick chat, then turning around and running back, and that's rushing for me. And if you fast forward the clock to 2019 Super Over, I think it's a different Eoin Morgan as a captain. Pressure is still the exact same, World Cup on the line in a World Cup final, but how I dealt with it and how I used certain mechanisms to try and deal with it, the results became better. Who's the scariest bowler you faced? Any specific dismissal which still haunts you? Scariest bowler by a mile, Sean Tate, bowled 100 mile an hour at us at Lord's in an ODI game, I think back in 2010 if memory serves me right. But when somebody's bowling so fast, the scary thing for me is that you don't see the ball the whole way. There are bits where you lose it. So if you don't pick it up straight away, where is the ball? If you can't see the ball, you can't hit it, you can't get out of the way, you can't do anything. And for me, that's quite scary. So, I mean, it's fast, 100 miles an hour, it's absolutely ridiculous. Any dismissal where I run somebody out haunts me, because it's an unforced error, you've ruined somebody else's day, you know, you've completely impacted the team in a negative way and in a way that could have been rectified. So, I mean, me and Joe Root used to run each other out all the time, even though we batted a lot together over the years, but that would always be something that would haunt me. Thank you everyone for sending in your questions. That was a lot of fun. Remember, you can watch every game of the T20 World Cup right here on Sky Sports Cricket.